All right, with the Canadian winter finally behind us, I'm able to start finishing my journey up to the Arctic. I'm starting off at the beautiful Manitoba River Resort in Northern Ontario. I got a couple days ride just to get out of Ontario and across the Prairies. I've actually never been further east than basically this, so it should be interesting. My understanding is that the Prairies, there's not a whole lot to see. So what I'm gonna do is, there's something called the Giants of the Prairies, which is a whole bunch of just massive silly stuff that's the world's largest of whatever it is, like the world's largest goose, whatever. So I'm going to stop off, see as many of them as I can to make it interesting, and the first stop is the Big Nichols. So let's go, but first you can see how she's looking, see if she's ready. Big Nickel, here we come. Here. Hey. Hey. He smells like cedar. And that's the Big Nickel. All right, so it's raining a little bit, but I made it to Wawa. This is where I'm gonna stop for the night. This is the furthest north and east that I've ever been. So tomorrow should be interesting. I got a couple weeks of brand new fresh roads in Canada I've never seen. But Wawa has the first of the Giants of the Prairies. This is kind of tongue-in-cheek, I know it's very silly, but it's just something to do along the way. And the first one is the Wawa goose, which is the largest Canada goose in the world. And that's it for me today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to Manitoba! Thanks again, bye! All right, so this morning I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've made it out of Ontario. I haven't done a huge amount of video in the last couple days, just it's been raining and I wanted to make quick time, get out of Ontario as fast as I can. I ran into another guy from North Carolina who's going to Alaska, and he told me about this website, Bunk a Biker, and it's basically other motorcyclists that put their house online and just let you come stay for free. They fed us dinner, I had a bed to sleep in. It was incredible. So yeah, Bunk a Biker, you might want to check that out. And so today, Winnipeg, I'm at the Forks Market, which is where there's three rivers that combine. It was the original place where the Hudson's Bay and Northwestern Company would meet the indigenous people back in like the 1700s and exchange furs and everything. And this is the site of that. So one of the main sort of historical points in Canada. Wipe that off for you there. And yeah, so today I'm going into the prairies, going to hit as many of the giants of the prairies as I can, and then I'm going to shoot up north to Saskatchewan where my grandfather's family is from, and see if I can find the old family homestead and the church where we're at and the cemetery where some of my family's buried. So yeah, let's go. All right, Elm Creek, world's largest fire hydrant, apparently. Check. Okay, so St. Claude, Manitoba, and the world's largest smoking pipe. All right, Portage La Prairie, world's largest Coke can, check. All right, so next I'm gonna head north and get into Saskatchewan and see if I can't find my father's side of the family's old homestead and church and everything like that. So should be pretty interesting. All right, so I've made it to Saskatchewan. A bit of a crazy day. It's been raining non-stop. The rain's actually stopped for a second here. The rain I can deal with. The wind is crazy. There's a big, huge storm coming from the west off the Rockies, east across the prairies. And I was driving straight into it. I couldn't go above, like I had the throttle wide open and it wouldn't go over 100. And the fuel economy, the highest I've ever seen, it was 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. It went up to 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. The wind seems to have died down now, thankfully. But yeah, so about 15 kilometers up ahead is Langenberg, where my grandfather's family is from, and I'm gonna go check it out. Hello, sir. Very well, how are you? Do you live here? Do you live here? Do you know, I'm passing through from Ontario. My grandparents are from here. Do you happen to know, I saw there's a Lutheran church right here, but there's an old one with like a graveyard. Would you happen to have, I know you probably don't, would you have any idea where there's an old Lutheran church in Churchbridge with a graveyard?
It would have been the Concordia Church north of town, would it?
I don't know. I think it was called Zionist Evangelical Lutheran Church. I think it was an old white church that may or may not still be standing. It was 10, 15 years ago. And there's a cemetery. I saw a cemetery that way, but there was no building there.
Who are your grandparents?
Do you know any Shapperts or Lowenbergs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Bob would know?
Yeah, because he's involved with that church. I'm not sure, but I think that's his truck. I'll meet you there.
Oh, you show me where it is.
Yeah, because I can get you in. They let me through that place.
Well, I found Langenberg and I found Churchbridge. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to locate the church or run into any family members. I have stopped and asked a few people. Some people knew the family name. Actually went into this credit union to find somebody who works here with that name. They've left for the day. So yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'll actually be able to find anything, and I couldn't find any info online like Google or anything. But yeah, I'll take a video riding down the street, and yeah, this is Churchbridge. It's more interesting for me than you guys. All right, now to Kipling for a surprise. All right, quick update on my search for my ancestral home, which you guys saw. When I went into the town, and I just was asking around if anybody knew any Shapperts, and I asked the guy in the pickup truck, and he's like, yeah, I know a Shappert, and let's go see her. She's in the credit union. They'll walk me right in. And we went in, and she was gone for the day. So he actually wrote her number down, and I tried to call her. She didn't answer, but then she texted back, so I've been kind of texting back and forth with her all day, and it turns out that she actually is related to me. It's like 7th cousin or something like that, but she's on Ancestry and went back and found my grandfather. She's my 7th cousin, so I just rolled into town and asked about the last name because it's fairly uncommon, and yeah, so I just thought I'd let you know. It was kind of cool. But right now I am in Kipling, Saskatchewan, and I am at the world's largest paperclip. It's actually in the Guinness World Book of Records. It's the largest paperclip in the world. I think it's 11 feet long, 3 feet tall, and 3,000 pounds of solid steel. What's really cool about this is the reason that it's here is, you probably might have even heard this story, is a guy started with the red paperclip, and he just was on the internet and trading it. I don't know what the trades were, you know, maybe for a pen and then a CD player, a stereo, for a lawnmower, for a riding lawnmower, I don't know. But he ended up from that red paperclip, the small one, he ended up with a house in this town. So he went from paperclip trading up to a house, and I think he donated the house back to the town as part of the agreement, and they erected this monument in his honor. So yeah, world's largest paperclip. I told you it was special. Alright, so I'm in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I spent last night in Regina. I haven't done a whole lot of filming still the last few days. It's been quite difficult, just really, really rainy, windy. There's actually a state of emergency for most of the prairies and some of BC, just incredible flooding. I don't know if my camera picked it up, but some of the fields in the prairies were just, they looked like lakes. There was so much water. So yeah, it's been interesting. But what I'm going to do now is I'm making my way across. I'm just going to try and get across the prairies as soon as possible. That was kind of my plan. I want to do some detours, see some things, but with the rain and the wind, it's just incredible. Like sometimes I'm riding along sideways. So I'm going to boot as fast as I can, get over the Alberta border, get to Medicine Hat, Alberta, and then see how much further I can get today. So let's do it. And then I'm going to go see head smashed in buffalo jump, which is it's like a 5,000 or 6,000 year old indigenous hunting ground where they used to drive the buffalo over the cliff. So I'm really excited to see that. That should be pretty interesting. So yeah, let's go. All right, I've now been officially to every province in Canada, and I just need to do the 3 territories: Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. I'll bang off the Yukon and the Northwest Territories in, I don't know, a week or so, and then I'll just have to find my way to Nunavut one day. As you can see, it's turned into a beautiful day, finally, thank God. Yeah, the ride today is just pretty long and straight, but there's prairie dogs. I don't know if anybody knows what prairie dogs are. They look like, kind of like slightly bigger chipmunks, kind of elongated like a mongoose, and there's just the roadways littered with them, and I had about 6 of them run out in front of me. But Medicine Hat's up next. Let's go. All right, so last night I made it all the way to Lethbridge, Alberta. I made it almost all the way right across the prairies. I've done about 4,000 kilometers in a week. I just have 2 stops left. Right now I'm on my way to Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, which is the Indigenous hunting ground. I'm really looking forward to that. And then after that, I will end the day in Calgary. And then, yeah, I think from Calgary, I should be able to see the Rockies, and tomorrow's the mountains, which I'm really looking forward to. But I was driving through Fort Macleod here, and I had no idea there was an actual fort, so I'm just gonna go see if I can poke my head in. I really like these kind of things. Really interesting. All right, Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. It's really windy, so I hope you can hear some of this. This is an Indigenous hunting ground that was used by them for almost 6,000 years. They used to drive the buffalo over these cliffs here and straight over here, and they would fall off, and they would just keep piling up. I mean, they had to have a huge amount of organization and people to pull this off, but they'd be able to feed their families for, you know, the year. It got its name because apparently one of the young people from one of the tribes wanted to watch the buffalo jump over the cliff from below the cliff. So he stood underneath the cliff as they drove the buffalo off, and as more and more buffalo kept jumping off, you know, they break their legs or their heads, whatever, he got caught between the buffalo and the cliff. And when his family and tribe came to find him and pulled all the buffalo off, they found him with his head smashed in. So that's why they call it Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. But yeah, you can see the cliffs here, and you can just imagine what would have happened. All right, you can see the Rocky Mountains behind me. That means that I have made it all the way across the prairies, actually all the way from Canada's east coast, which is kind of incredible when I actually think about it. But here I am. The prairie portion of this trip is done, and now it's on into the Rocky Mountains. I'm gonna head to Banff and then Lake Louise, and then take it from there, see how far I can make it today, just kind of checking out as many of the roads as possible. See you on the other side.